Now, only two of us, and there should really be 3 or more people in a brainstorming meeting, but this is just to give you an idea. So listen carefully to the language we use.
Let's imagine this situation. Our company needs to increase its production space. A brainstorming meeting has been organized to gather some ideas. Let's start.
How about opening a second factory somewhere?
What if we close this factory and open a larger factory out of town?
Let's explore the possibility of opening a larger factory for production and keep this space to make the shop bigger.
Perhaps we could rent the building next to the factory.
Why don't we look into renting part of the building next door?
What about sharing a production space with another company?
Couldn't we examine the possibility of building a 3rd floor?
Let's try to reorganize the space we have.
What if we organize 4 shifts a day instead of 3?
We could relocate our administrative staff and keep production here.
How about keeping the production here and renting some office space for the administrative staff?
Would we be able to reorganize the shop floor space?
Why don't we try moving all the production to China?
We could move part of the production to China. What about closing part of the production line?
Couldn't we rethink the production line?
How about keeping the production of smaller items here and moving the production of larger items to China?
Okay, we're going to stop here because we're running out of time, but this process could go on for much longer until enough ideas have been collected.
At this point, a short list is made of the best ideas so that they can be carefully evaluated by considering how each one would work in practice.
So the aim is to conclude the brainstorming session with 1 or 2 good ideas that can be put into action and hopefully solve the problem.
Did you notice how we didn't stop to judge or analyze the ideas as they came up? Well, that's because if each idea were to be discussed during the actual brainstorming, the ball would never get rolling and too much time would be wasted. Another thing you may have noticed is that Lucy came up with an idea that had nothing to do with increasing the production space. She suggested working 4 shifts instead of 3, which wouldn't solve the problem of space at all.
Yes, remember, all ideas are accepted during the brainstorming process because although an idea may seem silly, it might instigate other ideas that could instead give rise to a solution.
Yes, actually, you suggested something interesting after the apparently irrelevant idea I had. Well, I'm afraid our time is up for today. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Now, as we said in the program, the language you use to put forward your ideas during a brainstorming session is really important. So, what kind of language should you use for brainstorming? Clear, well-structured sentences, for example, are essential for this technique to be effective. And don't use any imperatives or rhetorical language. Remember, the aim is to create democracy within the group, and everyone should feel that their ideas are valued. Do you remember how we make suggestions? Let's, how about? These are the expressions we use in a brainstorming session. These expressions open the way to more suggestions and encourage other members to participate. Let's look at some of the structures we used during our brainstorming session. How about opening a second factory? What if we open a larger factory out of town? Perhaps we could rent the building next to the factory. Couldn't we build a 3rd floor? Let's try to reorganize the space we have. Would we be able to reorganize the shop floor space? Why don't we try moving all the production to China? We could move part of the production to China. What about closing part of the production line? Notice how all these suggestions promote group collaboration. Brainstorming is a group activity, so it's important to make everyone feel part of a team. OK, now let's see if you've understood. I'm going to make some suggestions as though I were in a brainstorming meeting. And then we'll see which are tentative suggestions and which aren't. Ready? We could rent another factory. Let's build another floor. I think we should close part of the production line. How about moving production to China? Why don't we try relocating the administrative staff? In my opinion, we should open another factory. Couldn't we reorganize the space we have? So, of these 7 ideas, 2 are not actually suggestions. Which 2? Yes, the 2 that started with I think and in my opinion. It's essential that in brainstorming you don't try to assert your own opinion. What's important is to work as a team. Try to limit the use of I and use we instead. It's not easy when English isn't your first language, and you probably need to practice a couple of times for it to come naturally.